Y'all seen that? I'm talking about the clip that just surfaced. The one nobody was supposed to see. Let me tell you what really went down. King Von's story? Nah, it ain't over. Not by a long shot, and now, Asian Doll and Lil Durk just flipped the whole game upside down. I got the footage. I saw the texts, the calls, the late night meets that turned into heated arguments. And you know how it is. In this world, respect ain't just words. It's life or death. You cross a line, you pay. You don't, somebody else will. Check this. Late last week, in a studio off of 63rd, there was a meeting. Private. But you'll know how these streets work. Cameras everywhere. People talk. Phones buzz. And one message got leaked. One message that said everything. You could feel the tension over the airwaves. Asian Doll, cool on the surface, but that glare said she knew something nobody else did. Lil Durk? He ain't just sitting back no more. Every move calculated. Every handshake weighed in gold. And here's the kicker. It's way deeper than it looks. People think this is just music, just beef, just hype. Nah. This is family, loyalty, money, power, and revenge all twisted together. And when these worlds collide, that's when things get messy. So buckle up. Because the story you thought you knew about King Von, it's about to get rewritten. And trust me, the streets are watching. The fans are watching. And by the time this is done, nothing's gonna feel the same. You'll ever notice how some stories feel like they've been written in the streets before they even happen? King Von's story? That's one of them. But here's what most people don't see. The foundation of that story wasn't just Chicago blocks or studio sessions. It was loyalty, ego, and survival, all written in real time. And now, Asian Doll and Lil Durk just made the lines blur in a way nobody expected. Von came up fast, too fast for some, the kind of kid the streets notice before the mainstream does. Drill music wasn't just music to him. It was a ledger, a scorecard of who had respect and who was playing for it. And Von, he didn't just play, he dominated. That's how people start talking. That's how his name got inked in the minds of fans and rivals alike. Lil Durk was already established, a king with a crown heavy on his shoulders and in the streets. But Von had a fire that couldn't be taught. Durk saw it and respected it. But respect in this world isn't free. It's transactional. One wrong move, one word, and the balance tips. And that's where the tension started. People forget the early days weren't just music videos and Instagram posts. There were whispers, side conversations, heated texts that never meant to leak, but did. One of the first sparks happened in a studio session in Atlanta. Von rolls in with a fresh verse, heavy with ambition and coded messages only a few could understand. Durk nods, impressed, but there's a flicker in his eyes, a question about loyalty. Who's really got your back when the world turns cold? Then comes Asian Doll. She's got a rep, a bag, and a network. But more importantly, she's got insight into the unspoken rules. Early on, she and Von had mutual respect. Their chemistry wasn't romantic. It was tactical. They understood each other's ambition, and that's rare in a world built on ego. And here's where it starts to spiral. A leaked clip surfaces. You'll remember this one. A short snippet of Von and Doll laughing in the studio, talking about plans, calling out names. Fans thought it was playful. People in the streets? They heard strategy. They heard moves. Whispers became rumors. And once rumors hit the internet, you can't put that genie back in the bottle. You said what? I told you about my respect. Von's voice was calm but sharp. Relax, I ain't here to disrespect. You know I move smart, Doll replied. Smart don't cut it out here. Loyalty does, Von said, eyes cold, every word a warning. That's the kind of conversation people don't see. But it's real. It's the code. And in that exchange, the fault lines start showing. Not between them, but around them. Von was always aware. He knew fame changes everything. He knew alliances shift. And he wasn't naive about who was around him. From that studio session, the tension grew quietly. Leaked texts, indirect messages, small Instagram posts that read like riddles. One post from Durk, one comment from Doll. Subtle moves. But for the people paying attention, it was obvious. The game had changed. Von's fanbase was growing fast, but so was scrutiny. Every move was watched. A studio session could leak. A conversation could record. Loyalty wasn't just words, it was survival. Doll understood that, and Durk had to navigate it carefully, keeping Von close but never forgetting who was in charge. This ain't just music no more. It's streets, respect, family. You feel me? Durk said once over the phone. Yeah, I feel you. But respect don't just happen. You earn it. Every day, Von replied. Word. Just don't get it twisted. I got your back, but watch your step, Durk said. These conversations reveal a pattern. Von and Durk are allies, yes, but in a world where trust is thin, allies are conditional. Doll is the wild card, a player with influence but not fully under anyone's umbrella. That's the perfect storm. Fear is the silent factor nobody mentions. Von feared betrayal more than anything. Not the cops, not rival rappers, not media. Betrayal in his circle cut deep. Doll knew it. She respected it. And Durk? He had to balance brotherhood with business sense, keeping Von close while asserting his own authority. Late night Chicago, a warehouse on the south side. Cameras off, whispers everywhere. Von pacing, Doll sitting, Durk leaning on a pillar. Plans are made, promises whispered. Then tension snaps. A misunderstanding over a verse. A line, a shout-out missed. Nah, this ain't over. Bro, Von said. Relax. Ain't nobody out here trying to start nothing, Durk replied. It don't feel like that. Words mean something. Out here, words kill, Von shot back. This moment changed everything. Not because anyone got hurt. Not yet. But because Von understood the value of perception. In this game, perception is king. The pieces on the chessboard are clear. Von, the rising king. Durk, the established ruler. Doll, the strategist with her own agenda. Each move calculated. Each glance meaningful. Each word weighted. A private meeting between Durk and Doll, one Von doesn't attend, leaks audio later. Voices talking about decisions, movements, alliances. Fans explode. Internet detectives dissect every syllable. Nobody can tell what's true, but perception becomes reality. Loyalty, family, respect, money, all intertwine. But they're fragile. One wrong move, one misread message, and the balance tips. With Doll and Durk in the mix, Von's story enters a new chapter, full of potential and danger. I built this, but I can lose it faster than I made it. Just gotta trust the right people, Von said. Then trust smart. Keep your eyes open, Doll replied. Yeah, but remember loyalty. It ain't just words, Durk added. And that's where we leave it for now. At the edge of something bigger, something dangerous. Von's story isn't over. It's just getting started. The streets, the fans, everyone watching, they're about to see the real moves, the real drama, and it's way deeper than it looks. The streets don't wait. Once whispers hit the air, they turn into echoes, and echoes turn into wildfire. And that's exactly what happened with King Von, Lil Durk, and Asian Doll. The foundation was laid, the players were set, and now every move was being watched. It started small, a text here, a comment there, a snippet of a conversation accidentally caught on a mic. Von saw it first. He was walking down the 63rd block when his phone buzzed non-stop. Fans, friends, even some faces he didn't trust anymore. The leaked audio from that private Durk Doll meeting was circulating, dissected frame by frame on social media. Every line twisted, every pause analyzed. And the streets? They felt it. Von replayed the clip in his head. The way Doll laughed at certain lines. The way Durk's tone shifted just slightly when he said certain things. To anyone else it might have been nothing. But Von? He heard betrayal in the gaps. You all think I'm tripping? Von said later to a close friend, pacing his studio like a lion in a cage. Man. You ain't trippin', they talking. People gonna talk anyway, but you hear it different, the friend replied. Von's eyes narrowed. Nah, it ain't just talk. Watch the next move. I'll know. Watch the next move. I'll know. The next move came faster than anyone expected. A new clip leaked. This one from the studio, where Doll was heard laughing, teasing about plans that didn't include Von's input. The timing couldn't have been worse. Fans interpreted it as a split. Rumors spread like wildfire. And even some of Von's closest associates started second-guessing loyalty. Did you hear that? One associate asked. Von just shook his head. I heard it. Now we see what's real. And the tension hit the streets. Chicago was buzzing. Overnight, the rumors became headlines. Blogs spun stories of rifts, alliances shifting. And for the first time, Von's name was not just attached to music, but to drama, to betrayal. And Von knew it was bigger than music, bigger than fame. This was chess. Blood and legacy all wrapped in one. The escalation was inevitable. A late-night meet at a studio on the south side turned into a showdown. Not guns, not yet. Words, glares, subtle digs. Durk and Von stood in the corner. Doll at the center, calm but sharp. Everyone knew the stakes. You said what to him? Von asked, voice low but tense. Doll looked him dead in the eye. I said what I said. Ain't no disrespect. Von shook his head slowly. It ain't about disrespect. It's about respect that ain't questioned. Out here, respect is survival. You test it, people get hurt. Durk stepped in. Relax, we can talk it out. Ain't nobody trying to do damage. You're reading too deep. Von's stare didn't break. Nah, this ain't over. Not for me. Not for nobody I care about. The room went quiet. The kind of quiet where everyone knows one wrong word can start something bigger than anyone wants. That silence was a mirror, reflecting every fear, every ego, every misstep made in the last weeks. Outside, messages kept coming in. Clips, rumors, side deals. Von's phone wouldn't stop buzzing. And every buzz was a heartbeat. A pulse telling him the streets were watching. That trust was thin. And that moves mattered more than words. Then came the financial angle. Doll had her own deals going on, partnerships that didn't always involve Von or Durk. When those leaked, a few transactions and collaborations appearing online before they were official, it fueled speculation. The streets interpreted it as disloyalty. Fans and rivals alike weighed in. And in Von's mind, it wasn't just perception anymore. It was a threat. You play me. Nah, man, not like this, Von said one night, talking to an old friend over FaceTime. Yo, calm down. It ain't that serious yet, the friend replied. Von shook his head, gripping his hoodie. It is serious. Every move counts. Every eye-watching counts. Every word counts. And if they test me, he didn't finish the sentence, but the threat was clear. Escalation came with the leaked social clips. One video showed Von in the studio, tossing verses with a subtle jab at someone unnamed. Fans speculated it was Durk or Doll. The comment sections blew up. Analysts on YouTube dissected the facial expressions, the body language, the pauses. Von watched it all, knowing perception was reality. Dialogue snapped in moments like this. Von, you think I won't notice the look, the smile, the pause? Doll, I ain't hiding nothing. You see what you want to see. Durk, everybody calm down. Ain't no need for this to get messy. Von, it's already messy. Just depends if y'all recognize it. And that's when fear and loyalty intertwined. Von's closest allies started circling, making quiet moves, checking facts, confirming truths, and even confronting Doll about her conversations with Durk. Emotions ran high, fear of betrayal mixed with loyalty to Von. Some moved cautiously, some aggressively, and in the streets, caution sometimes looks like weakness. But here's what most people don't get. Loyalty out here isn't just words, it's action. And when action isn't aligned with perception, chaos is inevitable. Von knew that better than anyone. The real turning point came when a private studio session was accidentally live-streamed for a few minutes. Von, Doll, and Durk were caught talking business, music, and alliances. Fans replayed the clip over and over, every word dissected, every glance analyzed. And what nobody realized? The tension in that room could be cut with a knife. Von noticed subtle smirks, small shifts in posture, and side comments that weren't meant for the camera but were captured anyway. To him, every little thing was proof of cracks forming in what he thought was unbreakable. One night, Von called Doll directly. Von, I seen the clip. I know what's going on. Explain. Doll, I'm moving smart, that's all. Ain't nothing personal. Von, nah. Out here, personal is everything. Loyalty ain't optional. Doll, I got your back. Don't overthink it. And then, to Durk Von, we good? Or nah? Durk, we good. But watch your step, you know. Von, I don't need advice. I need loyalty. The dynamics shifted. People in the inner circle started picking sides quietly, carefully. Moves that seemed small, a text, a wink, a comment, now had weight. Miscommunication fueled suspicion. And Von, always calculating, began to see patterns forming, alliances changing, and potential threats emerging from the shadows. The streets were buzzing, and fans were caught in the middle. Social media amplified everything. Clips of Doll laughing, Durk nodding, Von pacing. It all looked like a war, even if nothing physical had happened yet. But in the mind of someone like Von, perception becomes reality, and by the time everyone realized it, the narrative had already shifted. This is the moment where the story starts to split. What seemed like small jabs, playful banter, or leaked clips, they weren't. Not in this world. In Von's world, every look, every laugh, every pause could be life or death. And in a city like Chicago, people notice, people remember, and people move. By the end of this phase, the tension was electric. Von knew the foundation he built was solid, but the cracks had appeared. Doll and Durk weren't enemies, not yet, but they weren't untouchable allies either. And in the balance of loyalty, respect, and ambition, one wrong move could tip everything. Von sat in the studio late, phone in hand, headphones on. He replayed the clips, revisited the conversations, and thought. He understood the stakes. He understood the power. And most of all, he understood the streets, the silent audience, the ever-present judge of every move. And as he leaned back, letting the beats play, he knew one thing for certain. This story wasn't slowing down. It was escalating. It was turning. And by the time the world caught up, it would already be too late to change what was coming. The streets were talking like the storm was already here. King Von felt it in his chest, in his pacing, in every call that buzzed through his phone. The tension that had been simmering for weeks was ready to boil over. And the worst part, nobody outside that inner circle fully understood what was real and what was rumor. Not even the people closest to Von Yaz. It all came to a head one night in a studio downtown. Von rolled up late, energy tight, eyes scanning. Durk was already there, leaning back in a chair, calm but alert, like a general surveying a battlefield. Dol sat at the corner of the room, phone in hand, but eyes everywhere, aware of the weight of the moment. Nobody said a word at first. Silence stretched until it felt like it was pressing against everyone's chest. You felt that? Von broke it, voice low, sharp. You felt that? Von broke it, voice low, sharp. Durk raised an eyebrow. Felt what? You know what I mean. The leaks, the clips, the side moves. Don't play. Dol looked up, slow and measured. Yeah, we moving smart. Ain't nothing sneaky. You just read too deep. Von shook his head. Nah, it ain't too deep. It's exactly what it is. Loyalty ain't just words out here. You show it. Durk leaned forward. We're solid, bro. But calm down before you burn what's good. That's when it snapped. Not guns, not punches. Words. Sharp, slicing words that hit like knives. Burn what's good. Nah, this is my life. Don't ever tell me to calm down when you know what's at stake, Von said, voice rising. Dol set her phone down, hands open, trying to mediate. Von, listen, ain't nobody against you. You just gotta breathe, hear me out. But Von wasn't hearing. He was feeling every betrayal, every rumor, every subtle move over the last few weeks, replayed in his mind like a montage. The leaked audio, the Instagram posts, the laughs that felt like jabs. You'll think I don't notice. I notice everything. Every smirk, every wink, every pause. Out here, that ain't nothing. That's a message. And I ain't ignore it. Durk stayed calm, but the energy shifted. Calmness out here is dangerous. It can hide rage or strategy. He knew Von was at a tipping point. Dol knew too. They were trying to steer him, but the fire in Von's chest was already stoked. The first physical tension came when Von moved toward the corner where Dol had been standing. Not violent, yet. Just a presence, a statement. You understand? You hear me now? Von said. Dol held her ground. I hear you, but I ain't your enemy. Not ever, Von exhaled, shoulders heavy. It don't feel like that. But I'll find out soon enough. And in that moment, the first major turning point happened. A friend in the back, someone Von trusted, accidentally triggered his phone to record. A clip that would leak online later. The world caught a slice of tension they weren't supposed to see. Von's voice, Durk's measured responses, Dol's calm interjections. It looked like a war. Fans and analysts exploded. Speculation skyrocketed. You know what they're saying? Von asked the friend. They say you beefing. All over the internet. Clips and everything. Von shook his head. Internet don't write my story. Streets do. And streets just got louder. After that night, the aftermath was chaotic but quiet. Publicly, everyone posted smiles, music drops, and studio videos. All neutral, all friendly. But behind closed doors, trust was frayed. Every move was calculated. Von began strategizing. Dol knew he was watching. Durk knew he had to tread lightly. Alliances were tested without a single punch being thrown. Narrator reflection. Here's what people miss when they just watch clips and comment. The real game isn't online. It's in the eyes, the pauses, the side conversations, the loyalty checks. And Von? He was a master at reading all of it. Then came the moments that really defined this chapter. Studio sessions weren't just about music anymore. They became arenas, testing loyalty and patience. Durk noticed subtle changes in Von's behavior. Quiet observations, loaded silences, the way Von's eyes scanned the room before speaking. Dol tried to intervene, but even she realized that Von's trust had to be earned moment by moment. You ever feel like everybody's moving on you? Von said one night, pacing. Not everybody, just some people. You gotta watch the moves, Dol replied. Von nodded, sharp. Moves, that's the word. Moves is everything. And the moves kept coming. Leaked collaborations, late-night texts, untagged Instagram posts. They all became chess pieces. Von, always calculating, knew that one wrong perception could cost him more than followers. It could cost respect, influence, even life. The emotional tension was heavy, fear mixed with ego, loyalty tangled with ambition. Von began, confiding in only a few trusted people. Every conversation outside that circle felt like a gamble. Durk realized the same. Sometimes staying calm is a weapon, but the streets knew the energy had shifted. A private session with Doll led to a revelation. Von: "I've been thinking. Loyalty out here, it ain't a word. It's action. And some folks, they just talking." Doll: "Then move smart. Don't let emotion run the show." Von: "Emotion's part of the show. But yeah, moves first. Always." That balance between emotion and strategy defined the rest of this phase. Every meeting, every verse, every post became part of a larger narrative. The public saw only music, the streets saw strategy, and Von? He saw both, with an edge that made even his closest allies tense. Narrator reflection. What's wild about this moment is how much control Von had, even when things looked chaotic. Perception is reality, yes, but control, real control, comes from knowing who's moving, why they're moving, and how it affects your circle. Von understood that better than anyone. By the end of this chapter, the story had reached a pivot. Von wasn't just reacting anymore. He was anticipating, predicting, and influencing. Doll remained a strategist, Durk a balancing force, and Von the eye of the storm. And even though nothing had exploded in the streets yet, the tension was palpable. Rumors would keep spreading, clips would keep leaking, analysts would dissect every move. But Von had one advantage. He was already 10 steps ahead. The narrative now was about waiting. Not idle waiting, but calculated patience. Waiting to see who would stay loyal, who would misstep, and who would shift the game entirely. Every day, every post, every verse could tip the balance. Von sat back one night, headphones on, studio lights low. He replayed old conversations, old clips, and even imagined future moves. The energy of the city hummed outside the walls. He knew what was coming. The streets always tell you if you listen. And that's where we leave. Von's story isn't about drama for clicks. It's about loyalty, perception, and the high-stakes game of survival in music and the streets. The pieces are set, the players are watching, and when the next move comes, it won't just be heard online. It'll be felt in every corner of the city. The smoke's been rising for weeks. Tension heavy in the air, like the city itself is holding its breath. King Von leaned back in the studio chair, quiet this time, letting the music play low in the background. He wasn't pacing, shouting, or scrolling through clips. He was thinking, not just about what happened, but what was next, what mattered, and what loyalty really meant. The aftermath of the leaks, the clips, the almost confrontations had left scars, invisible but real. Some allies had drifted, some stayed close, and some had revealed themselves entirely. The streets whispered, fans speculated, and analysts dissected every move. But Von, there was a sense of calm that settled in the room, a quiet understanding that the storm had passed. For now, the narrative online would keep spinning, the fans would keep debating, and the clips would still leak. But Von's perspective had shifted. He wasn't reacting anymore. He was leading. He was shaping the story, not being shaped by it. Narrator reflection. This is the moment where the street lessons meet life lessons. Loyalty isn't just about standing next to someone when it's easy. It's about trust, patience, reading energy, and knowing when to step back and when to act. Von understood that better than most. And that's why his story resonates, not just as music, but as a code, as survival, as leadership. Von leaned back, phone silent for the first time in days. The music hummed, low and steady like a heartbeat. He thought about the city, the streets, the friends who stayed true, the ones who faltered, and the ones whose moves remained unseen. Every relationship had been tested, every loyalty examined, and every perception challenged. And he knew that the lessons he learned would last longer than any track he ever dropped. Doll spoke again, softly, but with certainty. You don't gotta prove yourself to anyone. The people that matter, they already know. Von nodded. Yeah, but the people that matter got to see it too. Gotta feel it, that's the difference. And there it was, the moral, the reflection, the street code wrapped in life lessons. The saga between Von, Durk, and Doll wasn't just about drama. It was about power, perception, and loyalty tested under pressure. It was about how quickly trust can shift, and how skillful navigation keeps a person at the top without losing themselves. As the night deepened, Von stood by the window, looking out over the city. The streets were alive, breathing stories into every corner, every alley, every block. And he knew this chapter might be ending, but the story wasn't over, not by a long shot. Moves would keep coming, alliances would keep shifting, and the lessons would keep unfolding. Von turned back to his crew. We keep moving smart, we keep our circle tight, and we never forget the lessons. Dol smiled, Durk nodded, and the room fell into a rhythm of understanding. No words needed. Loyalty had been tested, respect had been claimed, and the streets had taken note. Narrator reflection. This is bigger than music, bigger than clips, bigger than fame. It's about knowing who you are, who your people are, and how you survive the world that never sleeps. Von's story isn't just a saga. It's a blueprint for anyone trying to lead, survive, or thrive when everything is watching. And now we turn to you. What y'all think about this situation? Did he do the right thing or go too far? Drop your thoughts below and make sure you subscribe. Because this story is far from over. The streets keep moving, loyalty keeps shifting, and King Von's story, it's just getting deeper. Y'all just witnessed how deep this story goes. King Von's saga ain't just about music or fame. It's about loyalty tested, respect earned, and moves made when the stakes are life or death. What we saw with Von, Durk, and Asian Doll isn't drama for clicks. It's real life playing out in front of the world. And only the people in the circle know the full story. Every leaked clip, every late-night conversation, every glance in a studio told a tale of trust, strategy, and survival. And that's what separates real players from followers. It ain't just about who's got the hottest track or the biggest crowd. It's about reading energy, understanding intentions, and moving without letting ego blind you. Von taught us that. He showed the cost of ignoring loyalty, the weight of misreading moves, and the power of knowing your own code. But the streets never sleep, and the game never stops. Alliances shift, rumors spread, and the world watches every slip. That's why Von's story is far from over. Every choice he makes, every verse he drops, every move his circle makes is part of a bigger narrative, one that fans, analysts, and the city itself feel deep down. So here's the question to you, right here, right now. What y'all think about this situation? Did King Von handle it right, or did he push too far? Did loyalty get tested too harshly, or was it exactly what the streets demand? Drop your thoughts in the comments, let the conversation breathe, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. Because trust me, this story, it's only going deeper. Moves are coming, alliances are shifting, and King Von's influence? That ain't slowing down. Stay locked in, because the saga isn't just a story, it's a lesson. It's a lesson.